The intelligence came from an unlikely source. A low-level operative in a human trafficking network arrested on unrelated charges. During interrogation, he mentioned something that seemed implausible: a plan to abduct hundreds of children during a religious pilgrimage attended by millions. The interrogators initially dismissed it as fabrication, but one analyst decided to investigate. What she discovered was a meticulously planned operation by an international trafficking syndicate to exploit the world's largest annual gathering. This is the story of how a criminal network planned to abduct 370 children during a pilgrimage attended by 2.5 million people. How they identified targets, positioned operatives, and created a system to vanish children in plain sight among massive crowds. And how a coordinated operation stopped the largest attempted mass abduction in history. The pilgrimage would occur in 47 days. The children had already been targeted. The operatives were being positioned. The buyers were waiting, until the secret elite decided that not a single child would be taken. OSRI. SOAR. The pilgrimage target. The annual pilgrimage was one of the world's largest religious gatherings. Over 10 days, approximately 2.5 million people traveled to a sacred site. The pilgrims came from 97 countries, spoke dozens of languages, represented diverse backgrounds. The event was a massive logistical challenge. Temporary housing for millions, transportation systems moving hundreds of thousands daily, food and water distribution, medical services, security for crowds exceeding most city populations. For families with children, the pilgrimage represented both spiritual fulfillment and practical challenge. Parents had to manage children in overwhelming crowds. Families could easily become separated. Children could wander off in moments of inattention. The sheer scale made supervision extremely difficult, and that vulnerability was exactly what the trafficking syndicate had identified. The criminal network had studied the pilgrimage for 3 years. They analyzed crowd patterns, security deployments, family behaviors, and chaos that occurred when millions gathered. They identified the perfect opportunity for mass abduction. The plan was sophisticated and horrifying. The syndicate would position over 200 operatives throughout pilgrimage sites. These operatives would identify vulnerable children, those momentarily separated from parents, those from overwhelmed families, those who wandered away from groups. Operatives would approach children with pretexts, claiming to be security personnel, helping reunite lost children, offering assistance to find restrooms, providing directions to reunion points. In confusion of massive crowds, children would trust adults appearing to help. Once separated, children would be moved quickly through pre-planned routes to extraction points. Operatives worked in teams, one to identify and separate target, another to escort away, a third to transport to extraction points, a fourth to move victims to safe houses outside the pilgrimage zone. The network identified 27 extraction points positioned around the pilgrimage area. These were locations where vehicles could access without attracting attention: service entrances, delivery areas, parking areas for transportation services. Children would be loaded into vehicles disguised as legitimate pilgrimage support. From extraction points, children would be transported to 8 safe houses located within 2 hours. These facilities would receive and hold children until the pilgrimage concluded and attention focused elsewhere. Once immediate search efforts ended, children would be moved through trafficking network to buyers across multiple countries. The syndicate had already arranged buyers for the children they planned to abduct. The buyers represented darkest elements of trafficking: individuals and networks seeking children for forced labor, sexual exploitation, illegal adoption. Prices negotiated in advance. Delivery schedules established. Children already sold before they would be taken. The network's target was 370 children over 10 days, approximately 37 per day, a number they calculated wouldn't trigger immediate alarm given chaos of massive gathering. Individual families would report children missing, but in crowds of millions, pattern wouldn't be immediately apparent. The syndicate believed their plan was nearly foolproof. Scale provided cover. International nature complicated investigations. Temporary nature meant by the time patterns were identified, pilgrimage would be over and millions dispersed globally. They had planned for 3 years. Positioned operatives. Established extraction points and safe houses. Arranged buyers and prices. They had 47 days until execution. But the low-level operative's statement had started an investigation that would expose the entire operation. The investigation that revealed horror. The analyst who decided to investigate began by examining historical data from previous pilgrimages. She looked for patterns in missing persons reports, unusual incidents involving children, indicators of organized activity. What she found was disturbing. Over previous 3 pilgrimages, 63 reports of children went missing and were never found. The number seemed low given millions of attendees, but 63 children who vanished completely was statistically anomalous. She cross-referenced missing children reports with human trafficking databases. 12 of the 63 had been recovered in other countries within 18 months, found in circumstances indicating they'd been trafficked. Recovery locations suggested international network. Intelligence resources were directed toward investigating the operatives' claims. Surveillance examined areas around pilgrimage site for properties serving as safe houses. Financial intelligence examined suspicious transactions indicating preparations. Communications. Monitoring focused on individuals with trafficking connections. Over 6 weeks, evidence became overwhelming. The network existed. The plan was real. Execution was approaching. Surveillance identified 8 properties that had been recently rented or purchased by individuals with trafficking connections. So properties had capacity to hold multiple people, positioned within 2 hours of pilgrimage site, acquired within previous 6 months. Timing aligning with preparation. Financial analysis revealed large payments moving between trafficking-connected accounts. Communications intercepts caught references to the event, with timing matching pilgrimage dates. Most critically, surveillance identified individuals with trafficking connections arriving in the pilgrimage region. Over 40 individuals from multiple countries had traveled to the area in previous 8 weeks. Background checks revealed connections to trafficking, organized crime, child exploitation networks. Intelligence picture became comprehensive and horrifying. An international trafficking syndicate was positioning operatives and infrastructure to abduct hundreds of children during upcoming pilgrimage. Operation was exactly as described, perhaps larger in scope. Investigation identified network's leadership. 11 individuals coordinating the operation from locations across 5 countries. Over 200 operatives being positioned. 27 extraction points. 8 safe houses. Buyers waiting in multiple countries. Assessment reaching secret elite was urgent. Trafficking network preparing to execute largest attempted child abduction operation in history. They would target 370 children during religious gathering attended by millions. They had infrastructure, personnel, planning to execute successfully unless stopped. They were 47 days from beginning. Authorization came within 24 hours. Mission was clear. Dismantle network, prevent abduction, protect every child. The covert preparation. Operation required meticulous planning. Trafficking network had spent 3 years preparing. Secret elite had 47 days to position resources, infiltrate operation, prepare to stop abduction attempt among crowds of millions. Challenges were immense. Pilgrimage would be attended by 2.5 million people from 97 countries. Security forces would focus on general crowd management and terrorism prevention, not sophisticated trafficking operations. Scale meant children could be separated in moments. Temporary nature meant window to prevent abductions was measured in days. Secret elite's approach required 3 parallel efforts. First, infiltrate trafficking network to identify all operatives and understand complete operational plan. Second, establish covert capabilities throughout pilgrimage area to identify and stop abduction attempts in real time. Third, coordinate with local security forces without revealing operations' full scope. Undercover operatives were inserted into trafficking network at multiple levels. Some posed as criminal associates. Others infiltrated as support personnel. Drivers, logistics coordinators, facility managers. Infiltration revealed network's complete operational structure. 11 leadership figures, 37 regional coordinators, 214 individuals who would actually be identifying, separating, and extracting children. Secret elite positioned over 300 assets throughout gathering sites, some as pilgrims, some as service workers, some embedded in security forces. These assets established overlapping coverage of high-risk areas. They were equipped with communication systems and facial recognition technology to identify trafficking operatives. Security briefings were conducted using intelligence appearing from domestic sources. Officials warned about increased trafficking risk. Enhanced child protection measures implemented. Security forces believed they were implementing routine enhanced measures. Public information campaigns emphasized child safety in crowds. Families encouraged to maintain close supervision. Messaging framed as routine safety guidance but specifically designed to make trafficking networks' operation more difficult. With 47 days of preparation complete, the pilgrimage began. 2.5 million people gathered, and 370 children became targets of the largest prevented abduction operation in history. The pilgrimage protection. Over 10 days, operation unfolded with precision, requiring split-second coordination among hundreds of assets spread across massive crowds. Every day, trafficking network attempted to execute their plan. Every day, Secret Elite's protective network stopped them. The first attempt occurred at a major gathering point. A 7-year-old girl became separated from family for less than 2 minutes. A trafficking operative approached, claiming to be security personnel. The operative was tracked by facial recognition. A covert asset intervened before operative could move the child away. The girl was safely reunited with her panicked family. Over first day, 14 similar interventions occurred. 14 children the trafficking network attempted to target were protected. Operatives believed they experienced bad luck, random interference. They didn't realize they were being systematically countered. As trafficking networks' attempts continued to fail, they adjusted tactics. They increased operatives in field, targeted different areas, became more aggressive, but Secret Elite's protective network adapted to each change. Over 4 days, 63 additional abduction attempts were identified and blocked. Each intervention executed to appear as natural occurrence rather than targeted action. By 6th day, trafficking network's leadership realized something was wrong. They accelerated timeline and attempted coordinated simultaneous abductions at multiple locations. Over 200 individuals attempting to grab children across entire pilgrimage area within 2-hour window. Secret Elite had anticipated this possibility. When coordinated attempt began, response was immediate and overwhelming. Assets intervened on every attempt. Children protected. Trafficking operatives intercepted by security forces. Vehicles at extraction points stopped at checkpoints. Coordinated attempt failed completely. Not a single child was successfully extracted. With operation clearly compromised, trafficking network attempted to shut down and exfiltrate personnel. But Secret Elite was ready. As operatives attempted to leave, they were identified and detained at checkpoints. Safe houses were raided by local law enforcement. Over final 4 days, 174 trafficking operatives were detained. 8 safe houses secured. 27 extraction points compromised. Not a single child was successfully abducted. The abduction that never happened. As pilgrimage ended and 2.5 million people dispersed to 97 countries, families departed with memories of spiritual fulfillment rather than tragedy. Children who had been targeted returned home safely. 370 children had been specifically identified as targets. Every single one remained with their families. The world never knew largest attempted mass abduction in history had been prevented. News mentioned enhanced security measures during pilgrimage. Some coverage noted trafficking arrests. Standard reporting on periodic law enforcement actions. What wasn't reported was coordinated operation that protected 370 children, while stopping over 200 trafficking operatives. 3-year investigation that exposed network. 47 days of preparation. 10 days of operation that blocked attempts in real time among crowds of millions. The network that fell. Operational assessment documented everything. 370 children targeted, 0 successfully taken. 214 trafficking operatives deployed, 174 detained, 11 leadership figures, all identified and apprehended within weeks. 8 safe houses, all secured and dismantled. 27 extraction points, all compromised. Syndicate that had planned for 3 years lost everything in 10 days. Detained operatives faced prosecution in multiple countries. Many received significant prison sentences for attempted kidnapping, human trafficking, organized crime. The operational commanders who had managed teams on the ground received enhanced sentences, 15 to 25 years in facilities where their trafficking connections made them vulnerable. Leadership figures faced harshest penalties, some receiving life sentences in jurisdictions with severe human trafficking laws. The network's financial infrastructure was also dismantled. Assets totaling $47 million, accumulated through years of trafficking operations, were seized across multiple jurisdictions. The money was redirected to child protection organizations and victim support services in countries where the network had operated. Buyers who had arranged to receive abducted children were identified through networks' communications and financial records. Coordinated operations in 8 countries apprehended 43 individuals waiting to receive trafficked children. Their arrests occurred through Romania appeared some man in sort out. Zajchansi Priya and see in unrelated domestic investigations, protecting the operation's classified elements while ensuring prosecution. Investigation examined previous pilgrimages to identify victims of network's earlier operations. The 63 children who had gone missing over 3 previous gatherings were investigated with renewed resources and intelligence. 12 were eventually found and returned to families who had believed them lost forever. The reunions were complicated by years of separation and trauma, but specialized support services helped families begin the healing process. Now Surawas. The children who remained safe. Secret Elite's files documented operation in detail. But most important outcome couldn't be measured in arrests or facilities dismantled. 370 children returned home with families after pilgrimage. They had been targeted by trafficking network planning to sell them to buyers in multiple countries. They had been seconds away from being separated, extracted, disappeared into trafficking networks. But covert operatives had intervened in moments appearing random. Security personnel positioned where abductions were attempted. Systems identified threats before they materialized. Not one child was taken. A 7-year-old girl who became separated from family for less than 2 minutes was approached by someone claiming to help. A covert asset intervened. Girl safely reunited with parents. She would never know she'd been specifically targeted. A 10-year-old boy who wandered to find restroom was identified as vulnerable. Operatives approached with directions. Security officer happened to be nearby and offered to escort. Operatives retreated. Boy found family. He would never know what had been planned. 368 more stories. 370 children who were targeted, protected, returned home safely. World never knew pilgrimage had been infiltrated by trafficking network planning largest child abduction operation in history. Families never knew their children had been specifically targeted. Children never experienced trauma of knowing they were seconds from being taken, because Secret Elite doesn't operate for recognition. They operate so children can return home safely, and families can have memories of spiritual fulfillment rather than tragedy. Trafficking Network believed pilgrimage provided perfect cover for mass abduction. They planned for 3 years, positioned over 200 operatives, prepared extraction points and safe houses, arranged buyers and prices. They believed their plan was nearly foolproof. They were wrong. And somewhere in classified files, final notation. Trafficking Network planned 3 years, positioned 214 operatives, targeted 370 children for abduction during pilgrimage attended by 2.5 million people. Network infiltrated. Operation countered. In real time, 174 operatives detained, all safe houses secured. 0 children successfully abducted. All 370 targets returned home safely.